What's up, guys? My name is Munir Lazuni, and welcome to this training on how my system works. So essentially, we're going to be talking about how to get into the best shape of your life physically and mentally as efficiently as possible. So you've probably landed on this page either from a Facebook ad, from an Instagram ad, maybe you're in my private Facebook group on Facebook, but however you ended up here, you're looking to get into the best shape of your life some way, somehow. I'm going to teach you exactly what most people do wrong and exactly what we do to make this process happen as efficiently and reliably as possible. So anyways, guys, if you're ready to get guns of steel, look amazing, feel amazing, get ready to rumble. So let's start off first by pulling up this little slideshow I put together. So essentially, we're going to start off with just some very simple stuff, kind of explaining the science. So how to get into the best shape of your life as efficiently as possible and build a foundation that allows you to keep progressing for a lifetime. So we have a 3-step system right here. And essentially, very, very important. One thing to note is that when you get into the best shape of your life physically and mentally, you bring more positive energy into your life and everybody can feel it. And that's part of why it's very, very important to optimize your physical body as a man, because if you allow yourself to be out of shape and get out of shape, it's going to affect other aspects of your life. So let's show you how. First and foremost, once it stops lagging, there we go. So it's very, very important that you go to the gym and lift weights consistently and properly for the system to work. Okay, so there's no magic hack or quick fix. So I'm not selling you some kind of pill right here. I'm just teaching you how to lift and eat properly to optimize your metabolism. I'm going to show you exactly how to build your mental capacity as well and your discipline to be 100% consistent with this process, because you do have to be consistent for this to work for you and to condition yourself to transform both inside and outside the gym. And so it's very important to develop that iron willpower, because not only is it an integral part of your success here in this program or using the system on your own, whichever you choose to do, but it's also going to help benefit your mind both inside and outside the gym and every other aspect of your life. So we're going to cover that a little bit later on, but we're going to start off with the next most important part of this journey, which is how to optimize and build your metabolic capacity so you can burn fat efficiently. So first and foremost, here are some common mistakes that you're probably already making. First is wanting to lose weight first, then bulk up if you want to have a great physique, right? Focusing on reducing calories from diet. It's probably one of the most common mistakes people make. Another one is focusing on burning calories from exercise and cardio. Yeah, that's right. All those things are wrong. And they may sound counterintuitive. I'm going to explain in a second, okay? And I'm going to show you how to eat and train properly instead. Now, in addition to that, like I always say, you know, the mental aspect is a very integral part of this. So make sure you take care of your mind and environment as well, such that it supports your transformation. Otherwise, it's like hitting the gas and the brakes at the same time. And when you build this willpower, this whole process becomes relatively easy. So first and foremost, why are those things wrong that most people would not think are wrong, right? Well, here's one fact. When you gain muscle, you burn more calories. So each pound of muscle that you have on your body burns 50 calories per day. So if you gain 10 pounds of muscle, which you can very easily do over the course of 1 to 3 months when you train efficiently, properly, and you eat properly, you're going to burn an extra 500 calories per day at rest. So that's equivalent to what will usually take most people about 30 to 60 minutes of cardio, and you're burning that every single day passively, even if you don't work out that day, right? Now, here's another reason why is that if you reduce your calories from diet, you can only go so far, because if you go below your resting metabolic rate, your metabolism is going to slow down. That's why most people plateau and they keep trying to eat less and less and less, because you lose, 10, 20 pounds really quickly, but then you plateau. And then when you go back to eating normal, you gain it all back. And the reason why this happens is because if you're plateaued at, like, let's say 1,300 calories a day, which is very little, I mean, what are you going to do? Are you going to go below that? 1,200, 800? Your metabolism is just going to keep slowing down. But then the problem is that when you start adding in, a normal diet again, you add more calories back. Your body's still only burning that many calories per day. So it's very easy to gain that weight back. The reason our body does this is because in the past, as our bodies and genetics evolved, with our ancestors, they had a scarcity of food. And so when they were in scarcity, if their body just kept burning calories very quickly, they would die because they wouldn't have food. But in the modern day where we have an abundance of food, a lot of people have very slowed down metabolisms, which ends up causing people to get fat very, very easily, especially, as we start to get older, more tired, more stressed, more busy, less active, a bunch of bad shit happens, right? Now, another reason why for the exercise or the strategies on the previous slide, why it doesn't work is a lot of people try to burn more calories from exercise and from training, right? So, like, for instance, I've been a personal trainer for 3 years, and most other personal trainers who I see are always trying to make their clients burn calories, burn calories, burn calories. But it's like, okay, you're burning calories in that session. Maybe you're burning off whatever junk you ate, prior. But at the end of the day, if you're just burning calories from exercise, you're not going to have longevity, because what happens if you need to take a week to, go somewhere with your family, or what happens if you have a wedding that you have to go to or something, right? If you're not burning calories and you rely on that to lose weight or be in shape, that's a problem. Whereas if you have a metabolism that's working well because you have muscle mass and because you've built this foundation of hard training in the past, you can take a week off and your body's still burning plenty of calories. Not that you should take a week off, but you will have that freedom. So here's what you should do instead. You should build your metabolic capacity. So there's a couple different things. We're going to get into this later in the series, but I just want to go through this real quick. So build your metabolic capacity by lifting heavy, building muscle, and systematically increasing your calories, which gets you into a point of what you could call evolutionary abundance, where when you're constantly using food as fuel, your body starts to turn into a machine. Because you're training at a high intensity, you're fueling that high intensity with more food, and you're progressively increasing that as you're progressively increasing your body's work capacity. And so your body just starts to burn calories a ton, and you start to enter this sweet spot where you're consuming more calories than your resting metabolic rate, but less calories than your total daily energy expenditure. And so this is the sweet spot where you're going to definitely burn fat, and you may potentially build muscle while you're burning fat, because again, your body's just turning into a machine. When your metabolism is faster, that means that your anabolism, meaning like when you're anabolic, when you're gaining muscle, happens faster, and your lipolysis, which is fat burning, occurs at a faster rate as well. Plus, you get to eat a ton. In fact, that's probably the hardest part, is eating enough, because you get to this point where you're burning 3,000 calories a day, and your metabolism is literally burning 3,000 calories a day. And for me, honestly, the hardest thing is to eat enough, right? Now, again, the second hardest part for the average busy man who has other responsibilities besides training is to be able to train consistently, to be able to train hard enough, and to build up to this capacity properly. And chances are, if you find yourself out of shape right now, you're in a little bit of a rut. And so to actually embark on this journey, you're going to need to start making some shifts in your lifestyle and your mentality and your mindset and your environment in order to actually succeed. So that's where the other pillars of the system come in, because transforming your body, and obviously, all the mental benefits that come with it, actually start with the mind as well, because it really requires a mental, social, and emotional transformation as well. We don't just reconstruct the body and the metabolism. What I focus on with my clients, what I encourage you to do, whether you do this with me or on your own, is to reprogram your mind, your limiting beliefs that may be holding you back, and to recondition your standards so that you set high goals and you don't have low standards. You don't expect to fail, but you expect to succeed because you have confidence and trust in your own personal reliability to actually follow through. So we're going to cover that in a sec, but this is how I've been able to get average busy men who have families, that have lives, regardless of your background. If you're a busy guy and you got a lot of stress, you got a lot of shit going on in your life, you need these strategies to actually succeed. And so this is how I've helped men build what I call eternal motivation, where no matter what happens to you, you're always motivated because you know how to turn your obstacles into motivation instead of becoming a victim or developing limiting beliefs and stories when you encounter obstacles. So this is how we get out of a rut, train consistently, and take the steps necessary to get into the best shape of your life physically and mentally, and become this way above average guy. And we build a foundation that allows you to keep progressing for a lifetime. So here are the three pillars and the three phases. So first, the three pillars. Pillar one is reconstruction, which is body, training, nutrition, testosterone, metabolism, everything we just talked about, which we're going to go a little bit more into depth with throughout this training. I'm going to try to keep it under 30 minutes, okay? Pillar number two is reprogramming. So this is a matter of developing your mind, developing the right strategies, and fixing your mindset so you have a success mindset instead of a failure mindset, an abundance mindset instead of a scarcity mindset, a proactive operating system and activity style versus a reactive one. You view yourself as a victor, somebody who's victorious, somebody who wins, a winner, versus being a victim. You believe that things happen for you instead of to you, and you know how to handle your obstacles, turn your limiting beliefs into positive beliefs, etc. Reprogram yourself. And then pillar three is reconditioning, which is how to elevate your standards, set higher goals, and hold yourself accountable to yourself and the people around you. Okay, so here are the three phases as well. We start off with phase one, which is your foundation and pre-launch, so getting the technique and habits down. And again, you can pause this and read through this, but I don't want to take too long on the slide. Phase two is building your mind-muscle connection and intensity, so you double down, you build upon these habits and foundations that you built. And finally, when you get to phase three, you can actually strength train at an advanced level and use volume to burn fat while continuing to build muscle safely, reliably, and consistently, which also builds a foundation for you to continue to strength train, build your metabolic capacity, and get bigger, stronger, and leaner all at the same time for a very, very long time. So here are some of the results. I'm going to talk a little bit about how I discovered this. Again, I'm going to keep it super brief in the interest of time. I want to make this very easy to focus on. But basically, to discover all this shit, here's my transformation in the bottom right-hand corner. It took me, honestly, before I got big and lean, I'd say 4 or 5 years of training, and I've been training for about 10 years now. And it took me a lot longer than 90 days, but if you do all the work with the system, you can learn what took me years to figure out largely on my own in a much shorter time frame. And then here are a couple of my client results as well. So I'm going to give you a brief story on me, because at the end of the day, you shouldn't listen to random people on the internet. My name is Munir Lazuni, and when I first started this journey, I was skinny fat. I was 6 feet tall, about 155, had a belly, skinny arms. I could only bench a 10-pound plate on each side, which is 65 pounds for a few reps. Again, I had a little bit of a chubby belly, skinny arms, no muscle. And honestly, given all that, you can imagine I felt like a bitch, right? And at first, I started lifting because a couple of my friends were taking a weight training class. But there was a girl in our class who could actually lift more than me on the bench press. And I realized, dude, I need to take this shit seriously and start researching so I can learn how to do this properly. So I started doing research. And for anybody else who's tried doing research, which I bet most of you guys have who are watching this, a lot of conflicting information out there, right? Like you're going to hear that you should and shouldn't do 20 different things from 20 different people, right? And I essentially had to try everything, trial and error, to see what actually worked. And after training for a year, using just random stuff I learned on the internet and drinking protein shakes, because that's what I thought you're supposed to do, but otherwise not really doing much different, I gained about 7 pounds of muscle. So there are my first year results. Not very impressive. I went from skinny to less skinny. I mean, I look decent here, but again, it was a lot of wasted time and effort. I could have done a lot better. Because the next year, when I actually learned how to do this shit properly, I actually had a coach. I gained 35 pounds. So I gained 35 pounds of muscle in a year, and I went from 170 to 220. Okay, that doesn't add up. Why not? Well, because I gained 15 pounds of fat as well. So I had gained 50 pounds, and I was now big, but I also got fat. And the difference is I had a coach who taught me how to strength train, and he told me to eat as much as possible. So I literally did exactly that. And he delivered on that promise. I got big and strong, and I didn't really care about being lean. I just wanted to be big and strong so I feel like a real man, and not like a little bitch. And I channeled my frustration into that. But, at the end of the day, one of my deeper reasons was I wanted to be more confident with women because, when I felt like a bitch, I obviously wasn't doing very well with women. And once I got big, I was empowered to break out of my shell and stop being so shy and all that shit. But, I realized that I was kind of like fat strong, right? And if I wanted to really feel attractive, I wanted to be lean. So again, very vain reason to want to get in shape. And I gained a lot more than that along the journey. And then there's my year 2 results, right? I got big and fat, T20, right? I also went through a lot of different hairstyle changes. And what I tried, which is something that probably a lot of you guys have tried, is crash dieting. So I crash dieted. I tried ketosis with intermittent fasting, all that stuff. And I got down from 220 to 197 in just a month. And I wasn't fat anymore, but I also lost a ton of strength and muscle. I felt really small and weak in comparison to how strong I felt before. My bench went down 50 pounds. My squat went down 90 pounds. My deadlift went down 150 pounds. So I lost a lot of strength. Now, how many people here have experienced this? Like, how do you actually get big, strong, and lean? And how do you get lean without losing muscle and losing strength? Now, look, as I explained earlier, when you cut your calories too low, it doesn't work for a variety of reasons, because not only does it slow your metabolism, but it's also going to cause you to lose muscle, which will also slow your metabolism down. So that's why I'm not a fan of intermittent fasting and ketosis, because they both reduce your performance in the gym, which goes contrary to the system that I developed where you're training like a beast, turning your body into a machine, which again is something that comes from a lot of personal experience, research, coaches I've had, role models I've looked up to, and just trial and error, just learning the shit, figuring it out, right? And even though intermittent fasting and ketosis theoretically work, like with the science with hormones and whatnot, and they do work well for some people, my system is designed for a guy who wants to just be able to eat and train like a beast and turn his body into a 24/7 fat burning machine. And with the way I do the system, it requires a lot of fuel in the form of carbs and protein. And we're going to talk a little bit more about, what happens there. But essentially, when I was in college, I bodybuilded for about 4 years. And after my 3rd year, that's when I believe, yes, I've been training for about 5 to 6 years total at this point. That's when I finally discovered how to build my metabolic capacity. And I actually accidentally got shredded. So if you look at that picture in the bottom left, that was 8 weeks. And then if you look at the picture on the right, there's my after 1 year versus after 6 years, where, I finally was actually big and lean instead of just, skinny. So here's how I accidentally lost 27 pounds in 8 weeks, which was this one on the bottom left-hand corner. So what happened was, sorry, this thing's lagging a little bit. There we go. So I was in a relationship and, I got a little bit complacent, and I'm sure this has happened to a lot of different guys, whether you're married, whether you're in a long-term relationship. If you've been like with a woman for a while, it's very easy to stop giving a fuck and just become way too comfortable. And even if you're single, it's very easy to fall into your comfort zone where you're just constantly, life is easy, you're comfortable, you got a roof over your head. And even though you're not like achieving anything great, you're too comfortable to want to change. And so, how many people here have ever gotten complacent just in general, or especially into a relationship? And in the context of a relationship, this applies to you if you're single too, because no girl wants to be with a complacent guy. If you're in a relationship and you're complacent, or if you're single looking for someone but you're complacent, you're not going to make women happy. And if you have a woman, she's going to be unhappy. And you may, in fact, you probably will actually eventually lose a woman, because you have to be focused and grounded in your mission in life. And this is where things start to get a little more deep as to why you need to get in shape if you're out of shape right now. Because if you're out of shape, but you want to be in shape, don't deny it, don't downplay it, don't try to rationalize and lower your standards, because that's exactly what you don't want to do. You got to be focused on your mission in life if you truly want to be a superior man, if you truly want to be happy, and if you truly want to live the quality of life that you want to live. It takes work, but it beats the alternative, which is being mediocre and average. And we're going to talk more about this. But that's exactly what happened to me is, I lost the woman who I wanted to marry. And, I got this massive anxiety, which killed my appetite. And I started training harder than ever to escape these feelings, right? I was actually in the middle of a 6,000 calorie bulk, meaning I was eating 6,000 calories a day trying to get as big as possible, because I was like, okay, I'm in a relationship. I don't need to have abs anymore. I don't need to be lean. And I was plateaued at 6,000 calories, which means my body was burning 6,000 calories per day. So my metabolic capacity was insane. I mean, 6,000 calories a day, that's a lot. And because I got hit with this anxiety, because I had finals week coming up, I was, just gone through a breakup with the love of my life, so to speak. I was only able to get in like 25 to 3,000 calories a day, 2,500 to 3,000 calories a day, which is still above my resting metabolic rate at 228 pounds, which is the weight I was at then. But I was training really, really hard. So even though those calories may seem high, it was still below my total daily energy expenditure. And even though your metabolism will eventually slow down from that, really, really high level, at the end of the day, as long as you're not going below the resting metabolic rate for your body weight, which is typically, if your metabolic capacity is optimized 15 times your body weight. Sorry if this is getting too scientific for people, but I'll explain that in depth further, if you want to reach out and actually ask some questions, but I'm going to try to keep it simple. So, at this time I was going through this really hard time with finals, with the breakup. So I just focused on getting my protein in. And, I had thankfully built pretty good habits by that point with training, with nutrition, to where I was able to get my protein in. I was able to train consistently, and I was able to channel all that stress and frustration and anxiety into something positive, which was training and whatnot. And even though I'd gotten complacent, and even though there was a period where I laid in my bed crying for 3 days after that breakup happened, and I finally got through finals week, I was able to pick myself back up with the mental strategies of self-development that I've developed over the last few years. And no matter how shitty I felt, I knew that I would feel better if I went to the gym, and that I would feel shittier if I didn't. And that's very, very important. Something that you guys should all internalize is, like, whenever you face mental resistance, it's a chance for you to push against that resistance to strengthen your mind, just like how we push against weights in the gym, resistance to strengthen our muscles, right? So, again, if you allow yourself to allow your feelings of shittiness to stop you from taking action, you're going to put yourself even more into a rut. A lot of people probably know this from personal experience. And there's a lot more to that story, but again, I don't want to talk about myself too much. I want to talk about how you are going to get into the best shape of your life physically and mentally, and keep progressing for a lifetime using the 3 pillars that I've put together. But here's the deal. So I'm going to go more in depth on everything, right? I'm not going to take too long with this presentation, but if you're going to watch this and you don't take action on it, just like every other piece of information that most average men will consume but not actually do something about, it doesn't mean shit. You actually have to do this if you want to get the result. You can't just learn. So if you're here watching this right now, you got to take action. So that's the agreement. If you're going to spend the next 20 minutes watching this, instead of wasting your time on YouTube or Netflix, scrolling Facebook or Instagram, and you actually want to learn how to change your life, you got to take action at the end, right? So if this is worth your time, which it is, if you want to learn how to change your life, then you have to take action at the end. That's the agreement. Okay. You got to pay attention and take action at the end. Okay. If you agree to that, then good. Put away your phone, put away Facebook, Instagram, texting, TV, because the next 20 minutes are crucial. And if you choose to actually do something about it, they will change your life. So grab a glass of water if you need to, a piece of paper or pen, take some notes and get ready, because as you may already know from this presentation so far, I go pretty fast when I get passionate. Okay. So pillar number 1 is reconstruction. So it's about building your body by training properly, consuming optimized nutrition, boosting your testosterone levels, and boosting your metabolism. So again, the most efficient way to get into the best shape possible is to keep progressing for a lifetime after that with longevity, is to build a fast metabolism. So the faster your metabolism, the quicker you gain muscle and the quicker you lose fat. Now, I could go deep to the hormones behind this, but essentially, the more muscle you have, the harder you can train, which burns calories in and of itself, even though that's not the focus. And if you eat relatively clean, and you eat a good amount of calories where you're actually building into this, and you're eating about 80% clean, 80-20 rule, then your metabolism is going to get faster. You're going to gain muscle faster. You're going to lose fat faster. Oftentimes this can happen at the same time. And, as long as you're getting 1 gram per pound of body weight and protein per day, bare minimum, which you also may need to work up to, you're going to just keep gaining muscle and losing fat. And again, if you lift heavy and strength train with proper mind-muscle connection and technique, you're going to boost your testosterone levels, which will empower you in other manly ways. So your sex drive is going to go up, your general drive is going to go up, your performance in and outside the bedroom is going to go up, and you're going to build more muscle and boost your metabolism as well because you have more testosterone. So again, the most common mistakes people make is they don't eat properly, which we covered before. They crash diet, they try to lose weight first, try to bulk if they're already fat, right? Which I'm going to explain a little more on the next slide. But those are some common mistakes. Now, some training mistakes that people make is they don't train properly. So they're either following a bro split, they're doing some, crash program like a quick fix like P90X or Insanity. They're program hopping, meaning they try one thing one week, they try another thing the next week, but they never stick something through. They're ADD with their training. They're training inefficiently or ineffectively because they don't know how to train properly, and they don't have a strategic way to progress and actually a system to use to progress forward. Now, another reason why most people fail is because they don't stretch or warm up or correct their posture and movement. So that's another part of my story is in 2017, I was actually a competitive powerlifter. I had a six-pack and I was still powerlifting, which is something I'm very proud of. And the one problem though was that I never stretched. And I had, other trainers at my gym who were warning me that I need to stretch more, but I just never did. And eventually I got a bunch of injuries and had to go to physical therapy, which was a massive setback. So I wish that I had someone like me teaching me in the very beginning how to stretch properly so I'd never have to deal with that shit. Instead, I wouldn't still have shoulder pain that I have to stretch for a really long time to fix before I lift. So make sure you take care of that before you get injured and you're going to be fine. But if you mess up on that like me, you're going to have to take care of a lot of injuries every single time you train by warming up even longer than it'll take to prevent it, right? An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And then lastly, the last most common mistake that I see with people is they rely on supplements like pre-workouts, fat burners, testosterone boosters, steroids, pro hormones, creatine, protein powder. I mean, look, if you want to use these things, it's your choice. I recommend against it, except for protein powder. Protein powder is a nice meal supplement, but everything else, I highly recommend that you don't use it. I mean, maybe like pre-workouts and caffeine on like days where you're low on sleep. But don't be dependent on any of these things to see progress because they're going to fuck you up. And if you need those things to see progress, then what happens when you take those things out? You're not going to see progress. So sorry, it's a little laggy. Let me show you just this funny picture that I saw. One of my trainer friends posted it whenever this thing starts lagging. But basically it's a picture that says like, that you should and shouldn't do 20 different things. And it's kind of funny. Oh, there it is. So, eat 5 meals per day and run. Also, only eat breakfast, dinner, and walk, right? There's so much confusion out there, which leads to people not taking action because if you have no certainty about what you're doing, you're not going to be motivated to do it. Whereas if I give you this path and this system where it works because you've seen the results, which I'm going to show you later in this presentation, then you're going to be able to plug in with a lot more motivation because you're confident that what you're doing is working as long as you put in the work. So here's what you should do instead. If you're fat, you should not bulk. So I know I said you need to gain muscle before you lose weight, but you shouldn't try to gain weight if you're overweight right now. Instead, you should recomp. So recomping means where you stay at the same body weight and instead you're building muscle and losing fat by just hitting the gym consistently, doing it properly, which I'm going to teach you as well. So this builds your metabolic capacity until the point where you're burning 15 times your body weight in calories per day. If you want, you could throw in a slight deficit or surplus on those calories. But essentially that's where you start. Now, once you've been doing this for about a month, 2 months, or 3 months, you're going to get to the point where your metabolism is optimized. And then you can throw on some cardio on top of that using a progressive cardio progression to burn fat on top of what your metabolism is already burning. And especially, you need to make sure that you have enough muscle to cut. Because let's say that you just cut right off the bat and somehow you do lose the fat without having any muscle, well, you're not going to look good once you get lean. But if you've built at least 10 pounds of muscle before you cut, you're going to look really, really good once you get lean. And honestly, you should try to gain even more muscle than that because the more muscle, again, the faster your metabolism gets. So another thing you should do instead of, training ADD, like we talked about on the previous slide, is progressively get really good at a few key movements. So we use progressions for the squat, bench, deadlift, overhead press, pull-ups, and we track our metrics, right? So those are our main 5 lifts that we use. And we also have some assistance lifts that are staples, some assistance lifts that we rotate. But essentially, we're building the body in a system that I call power bodybuilding, right? Something that I got from Mike O'Hearn, the whole idea of power bodybuilding, which is kind of something I was already always doing on my own ever since I got into bodybuilding in college, but I still had that powerlifting background. So another thing that you should do instead of what I covered on the previous slide is give your training longevity by warming up properly for each session. So you need a foam roll. If you don't know what that is, check out the other videos on my YouTube channel. It's going to teach you how to foam roll properly. Stretch, that's on my YouTube as well. Corrective exercise, that's on my YouTube as well. They correct your posture and movement so you don't get injured because getting injured is a massive setback and it's going to totally fuck you up in your progression. Now, Another thing, supplements. Supplements only work when you add them on top of fundamentals that already work. But still, supplements are not necessary because a lot of people are looking for a quick fix with these magic pills, so to speak, and that's how they're marketed, unfortunately, which is part of what propagates this whole shitty mentality that most people have towards getting in shape, which is, hey, I'm just going to take a magic pill, I'll be in shape. No, fuck that, dude. Address the underlying causes instead of trying to patch them up with supplements, right? So, and once you optimize your training, you're going to have plenty of energy. You're training properly. Your testosterone levels are going to be plenty high to where you don't need fucking fat burners, pre-workouts, steroids, supplements, all that other shit. And again, why? Well, when you build your metabolism muscle first, you're setting in place foundations so you don't plateau and so you look better when you do get lean, you have longevity in your training. When you progress your key strength and athletic movements with proper foundations, so you're building your foundation of technique, then mind-muscle connection so you can actually activate and grow the muscle instead of just swinging weight around, you're going to get the most efficient and reliable, measurable results, right? Again, we use science to make sure that the shit's measurable and reliable so you're not just fucking seeing progress one week, not seeing progress the next week, and you're like, what the fuck happened? Well, you don't even have the facts, so how are you going to know? How are you going to chart your solution, right? We work in a way that allows us to solve problems when they come up, because problems will come up. Now, another reason why we do what we do is, again, you don't want to get injured. You want to avoid injuries because, yes, you can work around injuries, especially if you already have them. But the best thing to do is to avoid getting injuries or to avoid getting more injuries in the first place so that you don't have to deal with that shit. And then once again, as I've already said, if you need to take supplements or steroids to get in shape, what happens when you stop taking them, right? You lose all your progress. And dude, I've spent thousands of dollars on all kinds of supplements, creatine, not a fan because it makes you lose hair. Send me a message if you want me to actually clarify exactly how creatine makes you lose hair if you're prone to baldness. I've tried a bunch of supplements and really, I'll take like ZMA before I sleep because it helps me sleep. I'll take protein powder. I'll take caffeine in the morning, but I'm not reliant or dependent on any supplement to actually get results because then if I stopped taking it, if I was stranded on a desert island, I'd lose all my gains and I'd be really depressed, right? So now this may sound like a lot, but here are some 90-day results. So I hope you can see the picture on the far right. I know my face is kind of blocking it here, but this is Jason. He's one of my clients. He was plateaued for years because he was constantly like ADD between CrossFit training and body weight exercises. He's an amazing martial artist, but he was kind of watching his weight go up and his joints started hurting, especially, being a martial artist. So by working around and treating his injuries, we were able to build his metabolic capacity without restrictive diets and actually get his capacity up to lift high-intensity compound lifts without messing up his joints because, again, we fixed his joints. And essentially, we were able to shred fat and gain muscle consistently over 90 days, even though he's 44 years old. And over 90 days, he lost about 23 to 25 pounds and dropped 8% body fat down from 19% to 11%. And the best part is 3 months later, he's still got abs, even though he's got a crazy schedule from the operating systems that he still has a great body because of the system that we built within his life, even though his schedule's crazy and he's actually moving his business right now. So, and again, if you guys want to see his testimonial, go to my YouTube channel, check out the testimonial highlight reel, and it'll show you all of the best moments from the testimonials that we did from our month one, or actually our first round of results, which for some of the guys was month one, for him it was 90 days. So pillar 2 is the mind, right? Reprogramming. So as mentioned earlier, one of the biggest obstacles men face is their own mind. Like a lot of guys who I talk to who apply for my program, I say, what's your biggest obstacle is holding you back from achieving the result that you just told me you want? And they say, well, it's me, it's myself. And it's important to recognize that if your limiting beliefs in your head are holding you back, because when your mind is your worst enemy instead of your best friend, it's going to weigh you down and prevent you from succeeding or sticking to it when shit gets hard. You're going to quit at the first sign of trouble. If you can reprogram your mind and work as your best friend and be your own personal coach and accountability partner, motivating you 24/7, you're going to succeed at everything you put your mind to, both inside and outside the gym. But again, it's hard to get this way if you've tried and failed so many times, because so many guys who I talk to have been in the cycle of starting and stopping, starting and stopping. Chances are you're in this cycle right now. And it's hard to trust yourself, feel confident, especially if you've been stressed, depressed, anxious, and you've stopped believing in yourself. So again, it's hard to stop being negative and to start believing in yourself, but that's where reprogramming is key. And what I use with my clients is I show people how to actually reprogram this and use strategies so that they can face failure and obstacles in life and learn how to fail forward and actually use those failures for growth and learning instead of allowing those failures to set them back. So one famous quote that I like to use is, your results are determined by your actions. Your actions are determined by your habits. Your habits are determined by your identity, and your identity is determined by your vision. But all these things come down to the mind. And so in order to create your vision and commit relentlessly to your vision, that's the key. You have to be committed and you have to have a vision that you are committing to. It's the only way you're going to succeed, because otherwise it's too easy to quit. It's too easy to stop. It's too easy for you to fail. Okay. And again, you got to choose what you want most over what you want now. So here are some common mistakes that people make. Most people set their goals way too small where it doesn't excite them, right? And this ties in with pillar 3. Most people don't know how to handle their obstacles properly. They allow obstacles to turn them into a victim or to create stories and limiting beliefs. Most people have negative expectations and poor preparation, and therefore when they face setbacks, they just say, oh, okay, well, that's why I can't do it, right? Or they underestimate what it takes, so they don't put enough effort and preparation, and so they fail as well. And again, people have excuses, limiting beliefs. People have the scarcity, victim, poverty mindset, negative mindset. People think that shit happens to them instead of for them. People think like a loser. People think like a failure, right? And people fail backwards, not forwards. But what you should do instead is you should set big goals that scare you, that seem unattainable, so big that you get excited and motivated enough to take massive action. And even if you aim for the moon and you miss, at least you're going to land on the stars, right? Another thing that you should do instead is use your obstacles as motivation to transcend and break through into freedom and succeed despite the circumstances. You got to have this hungry underdog mentality, right? You got to have positive expectations and over prepare. So you should overestimate what it takes to achieve your goals so that you put forth the necessary massive action so you don't fail. And even when you do fail, you have positive expectations and you know how to handle your obstacles so you push forward instead of failing. And you got to reprogram your excuses and limiting beliefs using what I call pain games, which is a reprogramming protocol we use. And then lastly, you should cultivate an abundance mindset, a hero's mindset, a richness mindset, a positive mindset. You should view things as happening for you, not to you. And I teach you how to do this. You should think like a winner. You should think like a successful person. That way you can fail forwards until you succeed. Now, why? Well, again, we already covered this. I tend to get ahead of myself. But when you set huge goals, not only does this motivate the fuck out of you because you're really excited. Like, think about a future that gets you excited, even if you don't think it's realistic. Like, imagine looking like fucking Hercules. Imagine looking like me. No, I'm just kidding. I'm on my own journey too, right? But, you know, when you set big goals, it's going to motivate the fuck out of you, and you're going to take massive action. And even if you fall short, at least you're going to still achieve greatness, because we tend to achieve 80% of what our goals are. So set your goals way higher than you want to achieve, and you'll still land on what you want to achieve, right? And again, if you can use things that normally stop you and you use these obstacles as fuel to make you go harder, you're going to become unstoppable. At the end of the day, perception is reality. And by preparing properly, you prevent piss poor performance. When you remove the anchors, the limiting beliefs in your life, you allow your ship to set sail. And when you cultivate a mindset that attracts success, you attract success. At the end of the day, success is not linear. Every single successful person in this world has known they were going to be successful before they succeeded, because they cultivated a mindset. Maybe they weren't always this way. Maybe they were a failure before. When they reprogrammed and they built that knowledge that they would succeed, they made it a fact. They created this vision that it's a fact that they're going to succeed. Their actions fell in line with this, and so they did end up succeeding. Like I talked about before, your vision determines your identity, determines your habits, determines your actions, determines your results. And rewind backwards if you need me to repeat that, if you want to see that quote again, right? Success is not linear. You're going to encounter failure just like every other successful person on this earth, and you need to learn from your failures to ensure your future success. So here are some results. Kyle, one of my clients, good friend of mine as well. So let's see his testimonial. Whoops, trying to play that. There we go. So 735, he talks about the mindset.
Viewers at home, where you're from. Above all, I almost left this out. The biggest achievement too is the mindset. The mindset is that's the thing I lost. And like the difference, what I noticed is the big change was before, if I couldn't make it to the gym, say after work.
So essentially, Kyle's talking about how, like, you know, before starting this program, he had been in good shape in college, but then he allowed himself to get out of shape, and he was making all these excuses like, oh, I can't make it to the gym. Oh, well, yes, right? But now he thinks a lot more positive, and he has that.
I can't go to the gym, and that's my mind.
Right, so there's the yes. But like now he actually goes to the gym and he's fucking pissed if he can't make it to the gym. And so he actually switched gym memberships to a 24-hour gym to ensure he could make it even with his crazy-ass long hours, because he gets held for overtime quite a bit. Here are a couple other results. You know, one of my clients finished reading a book that I wrote talking about how, you know, it really motivated himself from within. Awesome stuff. I'm happy to hear that. We do daily revs on my Facebook group, which essentially is a little daily kick in the ass motivation revelation that teaches you how to, you know, not take the easy way out, as you saw with my client Mark right here. Shit, I just said his name. Well, Mark, I hope you don't mind. And then lastly, another one of my clients, you know, thanks for the greatest gift anyone can receive. It's to believe, right? So again, you got to build the mindset of a champion. Now, lastly, pillar 3, reconditioning. You got to elevate your standards. You got to set high goals. You got to coach yourself through your obstacles, learn how to do so, and hold yourself accountable. Now, here's the deal, guys. as human beings, we're social beings. We're massively influenced by the people around us. We're the sum of the 5 people closest to us. So you got to surround yourself with people who embody the results, the mindset, the body, the focus, the drive and success that you want for yourself, so that you can adopt the habits, the standards, the norms, the mindsets of these people who you're surrounding yourself by, so that you actually do achieve the same success. And here's a picture of our first Driven Men's meetup in San Diego, California, which is where I live. So some common mistakes people make is they surround themselves with people who embody the bad habits that are the reason why they're stuck in the first place, right? So again, these negative beliefs that we talk about. And, you know, if we spend too much time or surround ourselves with average people, because average people by definition are average, they don't achieve anything extraordinary because they have all these shitty beliefs in their head. You end up exposing yourself to these negative ideas and stimuli in our environment, even if it's family and loved ones, that end up triggering us and leading us into a spiral downwards because we have a shitty mentality that's been given to us by the people around us. And again, like I said, so many people are conditioned to low standards because they're so used to not hitting their goals that they end up setting these low attainable goals that don't actually motivate them because they're afraid of being disappointed again or looking like a fool. The reality is you got to look like a fool sometimes. You got to set your goals high to excite you, like we talked about, right? So here's what you should do instead. You got to surround yourself with people who embody the good habits and the results that the person you want to become has. So again, positive beliefs, a can-do attitude, proactive success, a winner's mindset, the whatever it takes mindset, whatever it takes, man, because these people make us feel a little bit uncomfortable, but they also inspire us to grow and to transcend our comfort zone. So always reach up, man. Like I go to a professional bodybuilder gym where literally like almost everybody there is on steroids. And even though I don't take steroids, being in that environment where everybody's bigger than me encourages me to train as hard as I fucking can so I can get as big as possible naturally, right? And then maybe in the future, I'll take it to the next level with that. But honestly, I have a lot of reasons why I'm against taking steroids. Like I said before, if you need those to be in shape, what happens when you stop taking them? You're going to lose all that, right? And again, back to the topic at hand, you should surround yourself with and spend more time with extraordinary people. So those people, again, are going to elevate your standards. You got to choose to expose yourself to positive ideas and stimuli in your environment that inspire you, that believe in you, who hold you accountable, people who elevate your standards and lead you in a spiral upwards, that net positive vortex. And you got to set these big goals that scare you, that are high risk but high reward, and get you excited, that make you take action, that make you hold, and then you got to hold yourself accountable, and you got to tell the people around you so that they hold you accountable as well, because you actually got to do it. So why? Again, people with good habits influence in a positive direction. When we surround ourselves with people like that, it makes us more like them. When we choose to expose ourselves to positive ideas and stimuli in our environment, again, it inspires us. It makes us believe in ourselves. It holds us accountable, and it elevates our standards to lead us in a spiral upwards. And lastly, by setting these huge goals and being held accountable to them, we're going to take massive action. We're going to succeed. So here are some results. So this is one of our roundtables. We do roundtables in our Facebook community for our online program every single Saturday morning. So this is a clip or a little screenshot from our roundtable. We had 7 guys on, which is cool. And, you know, on the next slide, I'm going to show you Zach's 45 to 60 day results. And there's Zach right there. So here's Zach, right? So this is after, I believe, almost 60 days. So pretty solid. This is after 45 days right here. We're about to get his next round of progress pictures. And here's the thing. He hasn't even added in cardio yet. This is all from just training and getting in enough protein. We're not even restricting calories yet, which again, isn't really what we do. But, you know, we're not even in a deficit right now. We're just eating a ton of food. And that's allowed Zach to produce some pretty phenomenal results. Now, oh shit, I forgot to put what time in this, but essentially this is that testimonial reel. So I'll let me play it. Well, anyways, I mean, we're a little low on time, but basically
intrinsic and find value within myself, not on the outskirts of my being.
So just check that video out on my YouTube channel. We're a little short on time. As usual, I take a little bit longer than I intend to do this webinar. So just check that out on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/amunirl. And it's going to be very insightful for you to see exactly what kind of results and what kind of experience people have seen in my online program if you're interested in joining and applying. So here's case study number 1. This is my first online client of all time, Marcus. This is back 3 years ago in 2016 when I had just become a trainer. I was brand new. So this is the first person to try the system that I've essentially been using for myself for about 6 to 7 years up to that point, that I've been using for myself for about 10 years now. Or I guess you could say that I only discovered this about 5 years into my training journey. So I've only been using the system for 5 years. But anyways, tangent. So Marcus was the first person to try this. And I just set him up with consistent, proper weight training, proper nutrition, and just learn how to eat more so he could build his metabolic capacity. And I encouraged him every single day and every single week. And he built an iron mindset, confidence. He followed through consistently, and he looks fucking amazing now. I mean, he went from being chubby, unathletic guy, as he said himself, to somebody who people look up to. And, you know, he's stoked on what he's been able to do with his life, not just from the training, but everything that comes with the training, because he requires a mindset to build training, and training itself builds a mindset. They feed into each other in part of that net positive vortex we talk about. Okay, here's case number 2, Jason. So we talked about him a little bit. Again, just by boosting his testosterone levels and hitting a high intensity training, we're able to supercharge him back up, turn him into Superman again. And this was part of how I developed my system to accommodate around injuries, because he's got a lot of them, being a competitive martial artist, 5th degree black belt. So with him, you know, that was definitely a big part of what we did. Now, here's the original Zach thing. So the first time I did this test, or this webinar, Zach had just started a week ago, and he had lost 12 pounds in his first week, and he was standing up to his boss at work. He got a promotion at work. He's pursuing his dreams. At the time, he was pursuing his dream to become a personal trainer, but he actually has even bigger dreams now that he's shifted course to. You know, he's showing up as a better man in his family, everything else, and just being a fucking beast. And then here was his result. Oh shit, my freaking screen is blocking it again. But essentially, 45 days in, he's recomping. He's hitting strength PRs. And in April, which is right now, we actually are throwing him into cardio. So right now he's just starting his cardio. And by the time he gets to 90 days, he's going to be shredded. Because again, these results are just from without doing cardio at all. I hope you can see the ab definition he's starting to get on the right side there. Hopefully my thing isn't blocking it. But note to self, got to change that. Then case study 4, Sadaf. You guys probably already saw his picture on here. So Sadaf's a Marine. He's a badass. He's been athletic and in shape for a long time, also a long-term martial artist, and found himself plateaued at the end of 2018 with lots of unfulfilled goals and dreams. So when we spoke initially on his application call, he told me about his history of yo-yo dieting and training in a way that, you know, I deem is a little bit counterproductive for the metabolism. So by building metabolic capacity and doing more strength training, building his strength as well as his mobility, so he could actually activate his chest better. So you guys are going to hear that in this testimonial video. We're able to add a lot of density to his physique. And now we're just throwing in cardio. So he's about to get shredded because, again, this transformation is from no cardio whatsoever. And while his physical transformation is impressive, his mental shift is what matters to me even more, because this year, 2019, he's pursuing his dreams, greater heights in his career, as well as doing his first physique show, which is going to be sick. So anyways, what about you? I've shown you how to do this, but most people won't. Like I said, most people fail because they don't take action. So I want you to imagine where you could be 90 days from now, where you could be 12 months from now if you keep going on your own, which is what I build within you, right? So here's your call to action. You promise you're going to take action at the end of this. So I'm going to offer you the chance to book a free consultation right now, and I'm going to customize these 3 pillars to you. And if you're a good fit, I'm actually going to invite you to join the program too, and let you know the time, energy, and investment required to join. Again, only if you're a good fit and only if I can help you, if this resonates with you. So what you're going to do is you're going to go over to this link. If you're watching this on YouTube, I'm going to put the link in the video description. And if you're on Facebook, I'm just going to drop it in the comments below. And then you're just going to choose your time. If there's no times available, just send me a text at 858-220-8152. Let me know that you want to be put on the wait list, priority wait list, and I'll go ahead and put you on that. But again, you may be wondering, why am I sharing this system with you for free? Well, I think that most people need to approach fitness in a different way because, dude, I mean, I've worked at gyms for a very long time. I always see trainers just making their clients burn calories. I think that's shit. I go to plenty of gyms where I see people training improperly, and it used to trigger me. Now it, just makes me want to teach people, right? So that's part of why I do what I do. And if people actually start training this way, they're going to achieve better results. And if we apply the mental aspect, the world's going to become a better place, because if every man knew how to use his negativity and obstacles for something positive to channel into motivation and bring in the gifts and talents that he has within his soul to this world is going to become a much better place. And then why am I offering you the chance to get a free consultation? Well, this is how I find my best clients, as well as there's no obligation at the end of the consultation to join us. Because again, I'm only going to invite you if you're a good fit. And if you're a good fit for us, I'm a good fit for you. And at the very least, I'm going to change your life by giving you a breakthrough on this call. So in sum, is this call worth your time? Well, if we spend 10 minutes learning how to change your obstacles into fuel for your fire and channeling your focus and actually teaching you how to get into the best shape of your life physically and mentally, it's going to do wonders for you. Definitely worth it for you. And hopefully you're a good fit, so that's worth it for me too. But even so, again, I do this because I like to change lives. So even if you don't sign up, I'm happy to change your life. And so here's the deal, man. If you're watching this right now, you're going to watch this information and do nothing. Because if you're not going to do anything about this, none of this knowledge is going to do anything. And honestly, you just wasted the last 30 minutes or however long I've been on here, right? And at the end of the day, when's the best time to start? Yesterday. But since you didn't start yesterday, the best time to start is today. And if you're watching this, again, you're not where you want to be. And so that's why you're here. And so it's time to actually get on top of it and get shit together. So anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed that presentation. Let me know if it was informative, insightful for you. Text me what your number one takeaway was from this video. Again, my number is 858-220-8152 if you're interested in booking a consult. And again, the link to actually apply for a call with me is right below. So you could text me, you could click that link. Again, the link's going to give you the booking. If you text me, you're just going to start the conversation. But again, I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. And if you're looking to join, then I look forward to getting your call. So anyways, guys, get out there, crush it, finish strong. And I look forward to seeing you guys succeed and get to the best shape of your life physically and mentally, make the world a better place. Let's get it.